aka Fatalis.
What?
Boo! Hello, my fellow hunters, or should I say my fellow people running and hiding and living in fear of the oncoming storm that is Fatalis. Recently, I have got a lot of people ask me about the Equal Dragon Weapon. What exactly is it? Does it exist? Is it canon? Will it be a part of the upcoming Iceborne Fatalis update? And, well, I figured the best way to answer all those questions at once is to do this video. So the purpose of today is to once and for all put the Equal Dragon Weapon to bed, tuck it in nicely, and wish it sweet dragon murdering dreams. So first and foremost, of course, the question is,
what is it?
Well, the official entry from the concept art book that it was first debuted in, way back in the time of pre-Monster Hunter 1, is thus. The Equal Dragon Weapon was discovered in some ruins, an ancient storage facility. It is possibly the only remaining weapon of war from the age of the Great Dragon War. The man-made dragon was pierced together using parts harvested from over 30 mature dragons. However artificial, the Equal Dragon Weapon boasts a might comparable to any living dragon. Its physical strength, endurance, and firepower are said to have posed the most relevant threat to the dragons during the ancient war. The technology behind crafting an Equal Dragon Weapon reached its pinnacle during the Great Dragon Wars, but that technology, along with the great dragon hunters of the day, ancestors of modern-day hunters, were not destined to last. The humans engaged the dragons in a war of epic scale, with both sides fighting valiantly and viciously until they were simultaneously brought to the brink of extinction. And breathe! So that itself should be kind of cut and dry, nipped in the bud. That's what it is. It's a thing. It's in a guild storage warehouse somewhere, and it's on pause reserve if they ever want to use it again in future Monster Hunter. But it is lore and entry concept art from a time before Monster Hunter 1, when they really weren't sure of the direction of the game. So while the devs did come up with this, did write this, did make it a thing, did have this idea, it's fair to say that perhaps, well, it's kind of just a relic of something that wasn't. It's not really relevant to what Monster Hunter actually came to be. So let's look a little bit further then. Let's look a little bit deeper to that. Firstly, does it have a connection to Fatalis? Because we know Fatalis is legend, we know how he works, his hunter melting onto the body screams, ow, we know his glass eyes filled with hate, we know him growing back from a single scale proved by the black blade that you can harvest with a pickaxe and then it grows back the next day. It's, you know, all there. And we know, of course, Fatalis' connection to Castle Schrade, because, you know, he fucked it up right good. And Schrade is a kingdom that supposedly existed in the time of, well, the Great Dragon War, one of the ancient civilizations. But joining dots between Schrade, Fatalis, ancient civilization, Equal Dragon Weapon, and the Great Dragon War is a little bit trickier. They're related to each other in chunks, but the full web is... Look, there is so many little tidbits of Monster Hunter lore spread throughout the games and external materials that trying to work it out is a bit like...
So I say to myself, I gotta find this guy. I gotta go up to his office. I gotta put his mail in the guy's goddamn hands. Otherwise he's never gonna get it. He's gonna keep coming back down here.
But we try our best. Now, Fatalis is said to have been part of the war. It's where he gets his hatred for humanity from, and his display of power at Schrade, the wiping out of the army, the last stand, the history that we're fighting in Iceborne's final update.
So what we're up against isn't a monster, it's actually history.
Is quite likely the end point of it. But at the very least, the facts are thus. Canonically, in the Monster Hunter world, Schrade, of course, existed and was destroyed by Fatalis. The ancient civilizations existed, as shown by the ruins of them spread across various places and maps. The Dragon War happened. The Equal Dragon Weapon... that one is much harder to say. So let's look at the ancient civilizations specifically and see if that can give us any clues. Now, the ancient civilization had a technology way above current-day Monster Hunter. The war kind of pushed the reset button on Hunter advancements. The reason we have charge blades and switch axes and gun lances is because we find them as relics, dig them up, and then reverse engineer them. Creating them from scratch is a task that only a handful of truly exceptional master blacksmiths can pull off.
Hello!
The ancient civilization then built towers, and supposedly the mortar to, glue the bricks together is made out of Kushala Daoras. Whether that's true is up for interpretation, but the towers are real. You fight Yamasukami all the way back in one of them, and they've popped up throughout the games. There is plenty of references from text and things NPCs say, item and resource descriptions, little slithers detailing the ancient civilization. You know, it is a thing. They supposedly had super soldier hunters enhanced with elder dragon energy, and you know, that again is speculation. It's connecting dots, but no strict confirmation. However, we do have the Artian armor, which I think is a very good example. This sort of points to the Monster Hunter super soldier of the ancient civilization. It's a nod to it, a reference. It is a mechanical suit. You can see the wiring. It is technology way above, well, current day Monster Hunter, but it's an armor set that's appeared throughout the series, and it even has like the wheels on the shoes for super fast speed hunting, and you could imagine an army of hunters all wearing this, you know, faceplate down, ready to go, and that's really quite cool. The armies of the ancient civilization. So the Artian armor's a nice little preview there. But the bottom line is, we know that the ancient civilization canonically exists in the past, in the history, in the lore of the world of Monster Hunter, and we know its technology was really up there, and we know it had a penchant for being, let's say, a little bit cruel when it comes to how it dealt with the Elder Dragons. Not that the Elder Dragons weren't as bad, but, you know, that is the case. So, to return to the question at hand, does the Equal Dragon Weapon provably canonically exist in the world of Monster Hunter? Well, that depends on your thinking. We know that gobules are babies, which means that there are adult gobules out there, but we've never seen them. We know that Ruby Basarios is a baby, because Basarios goes into Gravios, but we've not seen what an adult Ruby Basarios looks like a Ruby Gravios, but it, of course, logically exists because that's how the species works. And granted, I like to specialize in talking ecology of the monsters using real-world animals to explain in a reasonable way how they do what they do, but that doesn't mean I don't love the general lore of the world too, and adore talks like these and coming up with theories and seeing what I can make sense of. But either way, in the sense that logically it would make sense it's a thing, then yeah, sure, you can totally play that card. But in a I will point to this where it provably demonstrates it is a thing, then yeah, sure, maybe the Equal Dragon Weapon is just unused concept art from a version of the game that is nowhere near the version that they eventually went with that we know and love. But we do know a few things. We know they're not afraid of mechs. Look at Atalkar's Atal Nesto. And again, a lot of people before that came out believed it was the Equal Dragon Weapon. But of course, it may just be a reference or not connected at all. Not strictly a mech. It's just scrap held together and puppeted by her golden string. But either way, we know that they've done a mechanical monstrosity. We know they're not afraid of morbid concepts and ideas. They're not afraid of literal piles of corpses. You know, see the entire bloody rotten veil and that just awfulness that entire zone is. Good lord, imagine being trapped down there. And we know the ancient civilization existed and their technology was advanced enough to do this. So it's not hard to say that within the established existing canon rules of how the Monster Hunter world works, something like the Equal Dragon Weapon could be. So why not? But all of this is beside the point. It really is. Capcom have deliberately not filled in the gaps on the history of Monster Hunter, its lore, and everything like that. They've laid little clues and hints, but they have left it up to players' interpretation and imagination. In fact, they have specifically encouraged that. They want us to construct a story, a lore together as a community, because you know what? It's fun. The imagination of a person will come up with something much better than any reality they could dictate. It's like when you're hungry and you imagine eating, it's like, oh, so good. Probably better than when you actually get to eating. It's how the human mind works. So if believing that the Equal Dragon Weapon exists out there, it's hidden in some room, secretly in the guild, maybe the group that approached the Third Fleet Master and warned her about researching black dragons knows where it is, whatever, if holding that true enhances the experience of Monster Hunter for you, then go for it. No one should be told what they can and can't believe in a game whose lore is deliberately so patchy so you can interpret it in a way that makes sense to you. If it adds to the legend of Fatalis, the legend of the world, the war, the ancient civilization, anything, if it makes the upcoming fight with him in Iceborne have more gravitas, more impact, more epicness to know that Fatalis maybe had to contend with this dragon mech monstrosity of a weapon, then yeah, go for it. Because in technicalities, it could happen within the rules of the world, even if it's never confirmed, even if in all likelihood it is just non-canon concept art that never really made it to reality. The point is, it doesn't matter if it's canon or not. It's how you interpret it and the fact that it is technically possible. Theories and lore are built on taking established facts and making logical leaps with that in a way that paints a picture that works with the world. That said, should it be revived? Should it be brought back? Should it be made canon? Should it be fightable? I'm not so sure. I don't really think that it needs to be, and if anything it would be on our side because it's a weapon to fight dragons. Yeah, it could go haywire and stuff, but I don't think we gain anything from bringing this thing into a future Monster Hunter game. I don't think it's a fight with much meaning at this point, and I don't think it really needs to happen. It's just, at the end of the day, fun to think about. And that is okay. That's lovely. That's glorious. And no one should ever tell you that that's bad. No one should ever decide that something should be forgotten, something should be stopped talking about. No one has that authority. No one person can just dictate the law of Monster Hunter because it simply is deliberately open to interpretation. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk on the Equal Dragon Weapon, and I totally look forward to Capcom revealing loads of new story at the Iceborne Schrade encounter, which proves literally me and everyone else in the entire Monster Hunter community completely wrong. Like if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more, let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you soon. A goodbye.
Rage Gaming with the video float.
But that's all that's really relevant at the mo, but I'm still gonna leave this up so you patrons know that I love you even though the outro's no longer that kind of relevant. But the new one's being worked on and it's gonna be a truly badass song, and don't worry, I won't be doing any rapping on it. I'm gonna go now. This was shit.